And because,
I thought we were bringing
thousands.
What's that?
I thought we were bringing them in. They're already in.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
Kick them out of here. Spoilers.
Hold on.
It's okay. We got 0 views.
Bye. Sorry, guys. Carmen, very Versace. I'm digging the shirt.
I put gold earrings. I put gold buttons.
Okay, we'll just give this like 2 seconds.
Carm, nice medal. Do you have another one of those as well?
Behind the scenes of
I got bronze as well.
And Dave, we are, I think I said Dave. Anyways, we are live. We got some special guests joining us today. Tune in. You're not going to want to miss it. Yeah, it's at all hours of the night, but this is just how we roll. Get your drinks, join us.
Well, wake up early and join us. There you go.
Okay. So let's do this thing. Welcome.
Are we doing it?
Yeah. Oh, Anastasia. There she is. Fist bumping ahead.
What's happening, Anastasia?
Okay, so let's do it. Welcome to Wine in the Tea with Carm, K, and D. I realize this is at all hours of the night, but in order to make this vlogcast work, this is just where it had to be, okay? Carm literally just rolled out of bed. It's, 4:30 in the morning over there?
Sure is.
And you got your Versace on, so you're dressed to impress. We already have loads of people tuning in. This is wild. Hour. I don't know. I'm here for it. D, you just finished your first day of your MBA, correct, today?
Yeah, and it was
your
really
first
long.
day going back to school. Did you feel like Billy Madison a bit?
No.
Oh.
What did you feel like instead?
I felt like I was learning again, and it was wonderful. But now I don't think my brain's going to work, so it should be a good show. We're in different spots today. Why's that?
Yeah, because I feel like you just like missed my joke. And Carm, going back to you because Dee needs to wake up. Have a couple drinks if you drink. I'm having a red wine. I actually don't even know what I'm drinking tonight. It was the first thing I saw, and I poured it in. Carm, we're coming off first win of opening day of opening season, 1-0. Literally delighted for you. You have 30 seconds to do a recap of how that felt as your head coaching job over in Europe and first win of the season.
You never believe it. So proud of the team. I love my staff. I love my team. We struggled for the first 10, you know what I mean? There was a bit of nerves. It's very, very normal. It's a younger team, 22 years old average. They have put so much time into a new way of playing that I think you two would find a little bit familiar. And I am so proud. They scored on an absolute worldy free kick, like top corner, curled in, just ridiculous. About 15 chances in open play and clean sheet. So what else can you ask for? Just keep growing,
Okay, so cheers to you, Carm.
Cheers. I'm trying to get this open, but yeah, cheers to you.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
You gotta pop that with your finger. D, cheers to you going back to school and,
Thank you.
just being you. I feel like you just do everything. Your resume just does not stop. Now, again, before we move on, this show is all about you guys, so please put your comments, questions, your concerns in the chat. We will try to add it or just try to answer them. Now, this is the gold medal edition. So this is why we could put this time at any particular moment that we wanted. We're all drinking. We're all delighted. Canada soccer officially won the Olympic gold medal. And do I have a treat for all of you tuning in today? If you've been living under a rock, I realize every episode, I need to find a new saying for this.
No, you don't. Coin it. Coin it.
Thank you. We have Karina LeBlanc and another special guest. I'm not going to bring her in. Let's bring in Karina because Karina's been on our show already. So Karina's got the 2012 denim jacket.
Girls, ladies, women, Spice Girls, spice up your life. Remember that moment?
Karina, are you awake?
I am, but do you remember when we went to the closing ceremonies and all of a sudden the Spice Girls came up and we lost our minds?
We're going to get to that. Hold your stories because we are going to give everyone a treat today. We're going to do our most memorable story, our most embarrassing story from 2012. Without further ado, let's bring in our last guest. I think she's going to sleep because literally
she may have gone back to bed. It's
I thought about it.
Get in.
Okay, first off, now we've heard from Carmen. Karina's been on our show before. First off, massive congratulations for you. I mean,
Cheers.
the things that you, we need to cheers for you. I'm echoing. Oh, no.
Not again.
It got weird once we got on.
Ree,
Yeah.
it's on your end, Ree.
It's gone now, isn't it?
Oh, there we go. Okay, let's go.
Are you watching it live, Bree, as it's happening?
Yeah, Ree.
Isn't that what we always do?
No. Don't watch it live. I learned a lesson. Now, Ree, obviously, we followed Karina's journey when she came on our episode 2. Now, what have you been doing for viewers, again, who have been living under a rock? Where are you? What are you doing? Obviously, a phenomenal coach, but now you can tell people where you are, what you're doing.
Well, I'm currently in Baie-D'Urfé, Quebec, but I watched the episode with Karina on your show while in Tokyo, riding my bike in Sapporo, preparing for the game in Canada. Dangerous.
Very unlike you, Rian. Very dangerous.
Stationary bike, because we weren't
Stationary bike, guys.
Ruin the story.
We pictured you through the streets of Sapporo.
I thought she had like an iPhone here, like just cruising the streets. You know, like one of those head things that you have on.
Definitely not.
They were like locked in their hotels the whole time. Rian was in the streets.
In Canada.
Allow us to have our imagination, Kay.
Yeah, thank you, Karina.
Yeah, I shared the hotel in Sapporo and Yokohama with Canada, so that was an interesting experience as well. So all those former teammates and coworkers were literally in the door next to mine. So I saw Maeve, who'd be like waving at me every day. It was a very surreal experience for sure.
Okay, so we want you to spill the tea with us. Was it awkward? Obviously, you know, you started your journey with Canada, then went over with GB, which is a phenomenal feat as is. I remember I saw the signing, and Phil Neville is now our coach here at Inter Miami, and he was actually the one that he said she definitely needs to get this job, which I thought was really interesting that he had a little bit of say in it. I didn't know that. I don't know if you knew that because you look a little bit shocked. But he said he loved your interview process. He said she was very, very direct, saw a vision. And so is that, choosing to go over there, was that like a little bit awkward being in the village, seeing Canada and you're in another jersey and you have another crest on your chest?
Yeah, I mean, definitely weird. And it felt very strange, especially as you guys know, some of our closest friends are on that team and on that staff, but the rationale for leaving was still the same. In order to get better as a player and as a staff member, you've got to leave your comfort zone. And I think it was the right time after the pandemic, and so amazing to watch that team under Bev Priestman. I was talking to Dee, like the stars aligned. They needed Bev at the helm and her different way of seeing things and different way of doing things. They needed the new coaching staff that came in, the Mike Norris with the gold, like everything aligned for that gold medal. And so once we were eliminated, which was obviously heartbreaking, it was easy then to become a fan again and just be happy with the success and now where Canada soccer can go from here, because it is spectacular what just happened.
We're going to get to that. I was the first person that was, and I will put my hands up for it. I'm a very honest person. I'll say when I'm wrong. When I saw that Bev got the job, I was like, we literally have phenomenal coaches within Canada. Like what? But I love that you touched on that point. It was a point and a time for you that you needed to go away, grow as a coach, and then continue that process, which I think is very interesting. It's very like Carmelina. Oh,
who's
God.
Carmelina? When have you ever called me that?
Sure, but it's very like Carm's journey where she's had to take different roles in order to grow as an individual. So selfishly, I'm allowed to say this because I'm not attached to anything. I would love to see you guys all end back up in Canada because I obviously think like the world of you. I think you guys are phenomenal coaches. I want to just jump to our comment section because people are saying best Olympic moment ever, or best Olympic moment ever. So let's just dive into it, shall we? Let's give the tea on everything. Dee, let's start with you. What was your favorite in 2012 or 2016? What was your favorite Olympic moment for yourself, or the one before that? I mean, you've been through, so.
I mean, that commenter is biased, and certainly my favorite Olympic moment was 2012 and that goal that we scored in that France game. So that would be my favorite moment for sure.
Okay,
that's not very creative. So next.
No, that's your Olympic moment. Carm, what about you?
To be honest, my favorite Olympic moment, like personally or just collectively? Personally?
Just whatever you want, Carm. Just your favorite Olympic moment. Come on. You don't make it difficult.
Well, you have to imagine, actually, it has to do with a little bit with Rian. So we were on the pitch during that France game. Like, it's the pinnacle, really, of the career that I was able to participate in with you ladies. And we were exhausted. And I never forget the exchange and the look we had where we had nothing left in the tank. And we were just like, we were actually quite, butt heads as teammates. So it was the moment where we actually were like together fighting for something at the end of our rope. In a moment where as soon as that whistle blew, I was so relieved. Dee, I came over and hugged you with my bicep. I put your head in my bicep and I was just like, thank you for scoring, because I had nothing left for overtime. They had to sub me out. I was the center back. So thank you so much, Dee, and thank you, Rian, for getting me over the line in the France game, because I couldn't do
it. Karina, what about you? What was your favorite Olympic moment?
Maybe because I'm tired. But I will say something, because Carm, you just went like total like tear jerker. I'm gonna go on the other aspect of when we got to the Wembley Stadium to actually go on the podium. This woman came up to me, Carm, you may remember this, and she's like talking, and I'm like, oh my God, Wembley, we're about to go on the podium. And she just kept talking, and she's like, do you understand? I'm like, totally, like whatever. So then we start walking out, and I think, Carm, it was you. You're like, do you know what we're doing? I'm like, we're okay, we're bronze. But the thing is, bronze goes first, then silver, then gold. And that woman is trying to tell me what we needed to do. We're walking out. I'm like, guys, what do we do? And I think we're all like, who do we do 2 kisses? Do we stand up together?
We do kisses.
The woman that had been telling me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm paying no attention. So if anybody watches the tape again, when it comes to them announcing Canada, we are all over sorts. That we're like,
and
before. That's the reason.
I remember that too, because like I was, 8th in line, and we're like, where do we go? Like, oh, I don't know, like follow in front. Who's in front? Karina's in the front. Oh, she doesn't know where we're going.
Because if you remember, it's like Wembley, right? Like, who dreamt of walking out in Wembley? You're talking with your friends. You're like, this lady's talking. You're like, who's paying attention right now? Like, sure, talk to me.
I just remember throwing the flowers. There we go.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing. If we had any chance of being successful receiving our medals, Ree should have been leading our line. She
would have been paying attention. I'm like, what a cool moment, man. What an amazing moment. Why are you still talking to me? Sure, we're good. Anyway,
and in an official jacket, she told you to focus, and then she told you exactly what we had to do. And then you went the wrong way. You went straight the wrong way. I was yelling from the back.
You know what Rian was like? The episode of Friends when Ross is like,
hey, Kay, can we tell the world what the locker room is like before we play a game? How Reed's sewing and singing like the slowest songs, and how we each play a different role.
Oh
because God. That would help everybody explain. Sorry.
Before we get to Rian's favorite Olympic moment, because Ree, we're going to cut you off. I just want to say, number 6 was in between both Ree and Dee. So my locker was literally in the. I was by Ree. So imagine someone with high energy looking over to my locker next to me. Ree's knitting or reading like a novel on her thing. I'm like annoying. I'm like, Ree, what, like, you excited for the game? And she's like, literally, just don't talk to me. Don't make contact with me. I don't want to look at you. Like, I don't want anything to do with you. And I remember I was a disaster. I would have like shin guards everywhere, like whatever. I'd be like, my boobs were out. I'd just be sitting there like in my mix. And Ree would be like, can you put clothes on? And I'd be like, no, like, Ree, I'm just like chilling. Like, I'm like, no, not yet.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, Ree, what was, other than me sitting naked beside you, what was your favorite Olympic?
Did Carm have her hand up?
Yes, I did. I was going to say, I'm surprised you didn't request a number change just to get out of the situation.
I was there first.
She requested Kaylin get a number change. She spoke to Maeve.
Thank you, Christina Kiss, for retiring when you did, because I stood right
in the middle.
Yeah.
There you go.
It wasn't the nudity. It was the fact you insisted on taking off your cleats with butt to my face. That was the problem.
They were tight spaces, okay?
I know.
I got a big ass. Okay,
No,
Reed,
my favorite moment was
Yeah.
actually from this Olympic, obviously the 2012. We're going to take that out the equation. 2016, I have so many amazing memories. But this semifinals, I was in England. I just landed, and I was watching the game with Dee on FaceTime. And when Deanne Rose got the PK, I was dying laughing because I thought she was so fast that she had stood on the ball. And honestly, I was dying laughing. I'm like, imagine being so fast that you can't even manage where you put your feet. And then it was going to VAR, and both Dee and I were like, what a waste of time. Like, let's get on with it. And then they showed it, and you're like, wait a second. And it was like the whole process of that VAR situation. And then Jessie Fleming turning into some kind of ninja warrior with like focus. And it was such a roller coaster moment just watching it. Obviously, the pain was so fresh from being home from the GB experience. And then super jet lagged, getting to watch this game with Dee, but obviously of our friends. And then Deanne Rose, who I have a huge history with, definitely one of my favorite players on the team, and then like laughing at her and then going to like, oh my God, no, actually she got fouled. So a pretty cool moment from this last one.
Do you wish that Rose was there before me? So you were sitting next to her at 6 or me as a 6?
You know, she was terrified of you. Didn't care that I was not talking to you. You just kept talking to me. Like poor little Deanne. She cared. She was so right.
Deanne didn't want to be there any sooner. She roomed with Rian long enough. I think she wouldn't wanted to have extended that.
Deanne, tell us about your rooming experience with Deanne Rose. I can't wait to hear about it again.
Yeah. So there is, okay, so hold on 1 second before we jump there. There is the roommates, how are roommates determined? So okay, so this show is spun off because I really wanted to dive into the gold medal match. We're going to get there, but this is a great question. So, Dee, let's start with you. How were the roommates determined? Did you like your roommate? What annoyed you about your roommate? And what did you like about your roommate? And mind you, your roommate is sitting down below.
It depends on like what phase you're in and what the coaches want to do. Usually, like if you're in a big tournament, you get your preferred roommate. So people kind of get to pick. But if they're in a phase where they're like, oh, let's get the team to bond a bit, then they might mix it up. And that's how Rian ended up with Deanne Rose, bit of a veteran player with a bit of a new player. Rian is traditionally very strict in her room rules around bedtimes and devices and lights. So Deanne had a rough transition. Yeah.
Can I just say, we roomed together once, and deep down you loved it.
No, I'm still recovering. That was
nope. Just nope.
Nope.
Actually, I roomed with Rue once.
I also roomed with KK once.
Never again.
Never. I don't.
It was a long time.
Did we ever room together, Carm?
No.
I don't think we did.
No.
Actually, Karina and I can't room together because I tend to I have a lot of hair and I do tend to shed, and Karina cannot handle that. So we're actually we are not compatible roommates for that reason.
Can I call a spade a spade? I'm gonna put my name up here. Anyone that has roomed with me has loved rooming with me.
No,
I think we roomed a couple times.
Thank you. You loved rooming with me.
I can't remember it, so it couldn't have been bad.
Thank you, Carm. We lived together. You loved it. You loved seeing me downstairs drinking lemonade, straight out of the kitchen.
Middle of the night, like really thirsty.
We lived together in Portland.
Yeah, we lived together. You were with Frankie and me. Yeah, see, we all lived together. Yeah. Tell the story about the face cream.
No, we don't need to tell that one.
I'm actually not. I'm not that bad a roommate. What I will say is, I don't like communal spaces to be messy. So Karina and I had a frank discussion, and it went really well that she cleaned up.
Yep. Karina's. I will say for everyone tuning in, this is our biggest viewing we've ever had. Karina, I love you. You could quite possibly be the biggest. I'm echoing.
Who's the culprit now? Just saying.
The biggest bomb in a room situation ever.
You're the worst roommate.
The worst roommate. Yeah, you could possibly be the worst
Who,
roommate.
me?
Yeah,
Yes, you. Yes, you, the magician in Toronto.
I'm not phased by anything y'all say. It's good.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's talk about this gold medal match, because then I'm going to come back. This is my little tease for you all, okay? Because hosting over the years, it keeps you guys tuned in. We are going to touch on the most embarrassing thing from the 2012 Olympics, and do we have some stories for you? But before that, I want to jump to this gold medal match with Canada beating Sweden in the PKs, because going back on it now, I posted a video of me crying, and I really looked like, oh God.
She gone. She gone, folks.
I really look as if
Time to take over.
Like Kim Kardashian losing her diamond earring in Thing. I haven't sobbed like that.
In what thing?
You don't watch the Kardashians, Ree. I'll send it to you. I'll send you the clip. But
no, don't. She won't watch it.
I was watching it with my two sons at first. Then I put Hendrix down. It was me and Hayden. And I was bawling. And he came over and said, Mama, you okay? And he doesn't speak a lot. Like, he's like not speaking a ton. And I was like, my life. And like, I'm not even playing. So Dee, let's start with you. Let's go around the circle. What was that moment like when you saw Grosso put the ball into the back of the net and Canada won the freaking gold medal at the Olympic Games?
Oh, it was incredible. I was watching with Ree again, and we were both watching on TV, but we ended up with our feeds were like 2 seconds apart, so we couldn't. So for the PKs, like we couldn't watch it together. So I would mute it, and then I would like turn I'd be off screen, so they couldn't. So Ree couldn't see. Like I was watching my sister and her husband. She couldn't see if we reacted because that would ruin it. So I'd be off screen. They'd score, and then I'd come back on like. And we'd like celebrate together for a second, then I'd go off again. So that's how we watched. But yeah, when Julia scored, I was like off my feet, like a foot from the TV, like yelling at the TV. It was unbelievable. And then my sister was there and my sister's husband, and we were all hugging. My mom was at the cottage with my brother, and they like FaceTimed already. Like, and then like the phone just exploded. Like everyone was just so excited by that. Everyone was watching.
And I love that you made that point, because it was so interesting. Like we've been, I'll put my hand up for this. The Olympics, because I'm obviously in America, it's hard to get all the Canadian stuff. I was very just so much tuned in to women's soccer and the soccer team. And I remember that game, and my sister and her husband were watching at a pub in Dublin at a golf course, screaming and crying at this like magnificent golf course. My mom called me sobbing, like, all these, and even my mother and father-in-law that like are English or whatever, don't really follow the women's side, follow it because of me now, calling me like, Kate, like crying. And I was like, how cool is this moment that like, you know, yeah, talk about 2012 and all the years before us, but like how much it even meant to players like us that, you know, are on to new career paths or newly retired or with a completely other nation. Like, it was just such a cool moment, not only to bring like that team together, Canada together, but like all the former players that grinded out even before my time. Like when you guys had absolutely nothing, you were training in like horse fields of like rocks and stones. Like, no, it's the truth though. Maybe not that bad of a field. It's just, it's such a cool moment. Like, and you even saw like Carl Lang posting on her social media about it. Like, it was just an incredible moment. Carm, for you, what was that like for you, seeing that ball going to the back of net and Canada claim gold?
Well, I didn't see it. I was setting up cones for practice.
Oh,
I didn't see it. It's the truth. But guess what? My goalkeeper coach, Maria, it was on her phone, and she ran over to me and she showed me the celebration. So I got to see that, but it was like the best and the worst timing. I'm so glad I didn't have to wake up at 4 a.m., but I'm also not glad that I had practice. I almost canceled it. I love this team, but at the end of the day, it was very tough to run a practice after that. And then, to be honest, it was just a watershed moment, like parents calling, family, friends, old teammates, like all the things that we know everyone was celebrating in that moment. And it was actually one of our injured players, Adina. She's from Romania. She ran up to me to give me a hug. It was the cutest thing in the world. It's just, you know what it is? It's global. Like, if you're Canadian, people were just wanting to celebrate with you as a Canadian. And I think that was really special too, because it was just this global recognition, you know, that the team and the program totally deserves. And I think it was you, Karina. I watched one of your interviews. By the way, I'm always watching. I love seeing everything you ladies say. And it was like, it is time to move on from the 2012. Every 2012, 2016, 2021, all had their significance in this beautiful story. And it just was like seeing, you know, obviously Sinky, which is some of the best friends of, you know, some of you ladies, you know, just seeing Sinky, having played with her for all those years with the gold medal around her neck was just, it's poetic. It's perfect. It's just the way the story should have not ended, because I don't know what's next, but it's the way the short story should have gone. And I just feel that. I feel happy for Canada in general.
I want to jump to where that story should go, but Karina, let's finish this off with you and Ree of where you guys were, how you watched it, and the emotions going through you guys. Obviously, and we know you were in studio, you went live, and so we saw a little bit of that, but obviously you had to kind of pull yourself together because you had to go on national TV after. But what did that moment mean for you, especially seeing someone like Steph Labbe stepping up and being basically a brick shit house all tournament? She was phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, beyond phenomenal. I think it was one of those things where, like, there's so many different pieces of me. So one part of me wished that it was us watching it together, right? But, like, I was in studio and it was so many mixed directions because at the time was the 4x1 final, right? So the game went into overtime and TV was supposed to cut to the 4x1 final. And they decided to keep it rolling, which was a huge deal, right? So Donovan Bailey was in studio to do the 4x1 final. And then everyone, honestly, at first, like, everyone was so nervous. You could hear a pin drop. They're like, come on, everybody. And then all of a sudden people are like, okay, here we go. But it was just incredible because I think there were so many different, like, moments. Like Kaylin talked about when I first joined the national team, we were training in the barracks, right? It was like 1990. I don't hate myself. Before the 99 World Cup, 1998, when women's soccer was nothing. And all of a sudden, messages started to pop in from, like, the first ones that ever played the game. And then all of a sudden, it was people from around the world just blowing up, being like, and tuning into this, like, Instagram live saying, like, are you kidding me, right? Like, and it was just one of those things. It was such a beautiful moment because you knew it was bigger than us, this generation, the next generation, and to see, like, that 2012 team, the generation that was inspired from them, where you talk about, you know, Jessie Fleming and Julia, like, all of this come together in this moment, like, and trying to not cry and be neutral was just unheard of, right? Yeah. And then right away, like, and Karen in my ear was like, okay, we're going live and we're going to end with you. And I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, you know, how do you even, and then all of a sudden it was just like, I just took a breath and I'm like, just feel this moment. And I think that's what we're all talking about, is we just were very present and felt the moment for what it was. And it was the most beautiful thing. And I felt like of all of us in that moment of being like, yes, we did it. And this was exactly what we wanted. And it was just beautiful. I cried. I peed my pants, all the things, you know.
We do have a story about peeing their pants in 2012, so stay tuned for that one because
I don't remember 2012.
Yeah,
no names.
I don't remember 2012 because I was drinking heavily as soon as we won that medal. We'll get to that story. Ree, obviously you were with GB for this tournament, so it was a little bit different experience in the way that you're focused on GB, you're Canadian, you played numerous national team experiences, won Olympic medals, got knocked out with GB. So now, obviously, we've heard that you and Dee have been watching the games together without any of us. So cheers for that invite.
Thanks for the invite. Love it.
Really appreciate it. What was that like for you, obviously, going with another team, but then watching your former team clinch gold after so many years of almost getting there?
Yeah, it's been incredible hearing everyone's stories and versions of it. It is super emotional. It really does connect so deeply with us. I do think we need to acknowledge the fact that Carm is nibbling on some
Carm's eating.
No, I'm enjoying this. Look, I'm like, it's full charcuterie and cider at 4:30 in the morning.
Just
why are we not surprised?
We can ignore that.
Not surprised.
There you go. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoyed that GB team. It was an incredible group of players, so talented. I think if you were lucky enough to watch them played an exciting brand of football, soccer. Loved getting that experience. absolutely wanted to smash Canada when we played them the third game, as they wanted to smash me.
Yes.
1-1, hugs all around at the end. So that was, well,
Couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah.
It was a nice, you know, in 2008, we were out in the quarters as well in Beijing. So I do know that sort of pain of almost regret. Again, we were knocked out to the US, and I think double overtime. So it's this pain piece that I have in terms of the performance of my team at that time. And then this weird dichotomy, because I'm Canadian. I'm so Canadian, and I'm so proud of this team. I'm so connected to those women. Watching it was very emotional. I almost cried. Close.
That's good step for you.
That's saying a lot.
Yeah. Dee did not choose to watch the games with me. I just kept calling her until she picked up. I was watching with my mother, stepfather, and sister, and they get super excited about it, like overly excited. I think Dee probably muted my family, so I liked having a bit of an ability to have a discussion about things with Dee. But no one gets it except us, like that true. Obviously, the excitement, that's universal, that's Canadian. But I think we have to acknowledge the fairy tale that is this journey for Sinclair. She's carried not just the women's program, but soccer in Canada on her back for 20 years. And everything that's now happening, John Herdman's success with the men's team, obviously now Bev Priestman's success with the women's team, all of this is as a result of this once-in-a-generation athlete that we've been privileged enough to play with. So it's been so special in so many ways, but especially for Christine and seeing this moment. Sorry, off to you, KK.
No, that I love that you touched on that, because I think we all want a little say probably something on Sync. I feel like it's not her funeral at all, but like I feel like everyone needs and wants to say something. So Karina, over to you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, that probably was that was the first part of my tears, right? Like, that was why I was like, oh, because I think it was so special that, you know, Canada was eventually always going to win a gold. I mean, we all believe that. That was part of our legacies, that we hope that the next generation would go on to do better than us. But it to happen with Sync there and just see the stories, like how it all unfolded from, like, you know, sorry, Rhea, I love you. And I just have to give actually, I raised my hand is to give Rhea props, because I think all of us, we all know, like, the way that Rhian is articulating this, if there's a moral compass in the world, it would be Rhian Wilkinson, right? Like, she just knows how 100%. To be that person. And as she articulates this, I think all of us would have been a lot more all over the place. But like, I was texting with Rhea almost on a daily basis, and she just was always like very present, very honest. But I think, Rhian, we all tip our hats out to you, because like the way that you just handled yourself, like, it's been unbelievable, right?
Yeah, truly.
And it would be hard for all of us to be in that situation. I'm supposed to be neutral at CONCACAF, and I was unable to be neutral, right? And you're like coaching.
You put the air quotes on the wrong part there. You said neutral at CONCACAF.
Neutral at CONCACAF.
Yeah, it's supposed to be neutral.
Sorry, keep going.
Neutral at CONCACAF.
Even I know that, Karina.
Just trying to stay
I'm
there.
sorry. We made you stay up, and I just made fun of you. I apologize.
Yeah,
Karina, we love what you're saying.
You want to have the call at 3 a.m. So I think, anyway, but Sync, I think that's, all of us here can attest to this. Like, this was beautiful because it was for her. And there's nobody that's more humble in this world. Like, she will never make it about herself. And if anything, it's just like Canadians love her, and we all love her because we're like, this is for you. And you'd never come out and say yes, but it's for her, and it was just beautiful. But anyway, I'm going to be quiet in case I do the wrong quote here.
No,
by the way, did anybody notice the gold in my hair?
Yeah, I think your hair looks phenomenal, Karina. But
I just
noticed my gold medal.
Yeah, gold medal's amazing. I just think the one thing too with the team, and I think why I was so emotional, because now I'm on like the parent side of things. I know it's crazy. I don't know how I have 2 kids and I'm a functioning mother, but
here I am eating salami.
They're alive and well. But I started the game with both of them, and I was like, I just looked at them and I'm like, this is such an amazing moment. Like, literally the blood, sweat, and tears that you go in to try to play at the highest level, and you have these dreams and aspirations. And I was a kid from Saskatchewan where it was like hockey. Like I didn't know soccer. And I remember I went to my first U19 World Championship in Edmonton when you guys were playing there. Carm was one of my favorite players because of her hair at the time. And because obviously you were in the midfield, but
Sure.
I just remember asking my mom for my birthday tickets. I was like, I want to go to that U19 championship. And that's when I fell in love with the game. So like, I remember when I was a young kid, like having role models like you guys, and I get emotional thinking of it because I'm like, you didn't have that ever growing up. You had your NHL hockey players, you had, your Wayne Gretzky's, you didn't have female athletes or now players like Quinn where it's inclusiveness. Like, there's goals and aspirations. You can be anything and have these dreams and think bigger picture. And I think it's just such a cool moment, not only in Canada, just like around the world, that like you can literally set your mind to anything and you don't have to be a professional athlete. You can be a doctor, a mom, a dad, or whatever you want to be. And I just feel like this group of players has allowed us to dream again during a very difficult time where COVID hit us and we're locked in our homes. We're not around friends and family. We're not able to travel. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, I was emotional because I'm like, I haven't seen my friends or my family for like 2 years. And I just felt like that moment, I felt like I was at home. I know that sounds so silly, but I was like with my kids and I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is such a cool moment. And yeah, anywho, I need another glass of wine.
No. Thank you for sharing, Kaylin.
No, it's just like, I don't know. And it's like what you guys built before us, like coming into the program with the Karinas, the Wilkinsons, the Mathesons, the Moscatos, like you guys built a platform for us to be successful. So like little shits like me that came in that didn't realize what you guys went through. And now I'm out of it. And I'm like, I was such a little asshole when I first came in. I didn't realize the ground that you guys set for everyone. And like, I'm so grateful, not only that like I got to play alongside you, but now that like we're friends for life, you're stuck with me, even if you don't like me. But I'm really grateful for not only what you've done, but like what you guys have paved the way for players like me to come in and like have an Olympic medal to talk about with my kids, grandkids. And I'm like that annoying 90-year-old being like, Olympic medal.
Annoying. How old are you now?
No, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just think there's like
there's something special about this team though. Like the way they like performed, the way they put out their messaging. Like I feel like it united like anyone who's ever played women's soccer in Canada. It like past and future. They like struck all our hearts. I think it's like a better London. It's like the next step up, which is what we all hoped. Like I feel like they were the team of the Olympics, like swimming crushed it, track crushed it.
Yeah.
Damian Warner was incredible. Like there were so many stories, but soccer was the one that people were still talking about. And it seemed to like, people are talking about soccer now. People are talking about pro leagues now. Like it's permeated into the next level, which I think it hadn't before. So I think, yeah, it's pretty cool. It was fun to be here for it.
Yeah. Quickly touching on that because I know that we're almost hitting on 40 minutes here. So I do want to touch on this briefly before we go into like funny stories from 2012, but the future for not only Canada soccer, but the future for a professional league. I know obviously there's some people in this group at the moment that are working behind the scenes to bring something within Canada. So let's start with you, Ree, and you, Karina. How is it more important now than ever to get a professional league within Canada? Karina, let's start with you.
Well, if I put on my CONCACAF hat, I think one of the
Fair
things is, okay, I didn't quote. I'll put that on quickly just because I think in our region we have World Cup champions and now we have Olympic champions, right? So, for us, it's how do we sustain that and how do we make sure that continues to develop? But especially with what Canada has, they're going to almost be that best practice that people will follow, right? So put that on the way. But I think like if I go back, cheers to that. If I go back to like when I first started, right, Kaylin, to your point, like the heroes were not females and especially the diversity that comes on this team. But now the time is now. This is the time where Canada needs to step up. And I don't mean just like the associations. I mean people. Like you talked about it, Kay. Like, I mean, I watched my little daughter like scream. I wasn't there when my husband was taping it. this is the parents, right? The dads, the moms who have those circles of people to say, hey, you know what? Bravo on them. Our time to rise, our time to do the part so that our kids can stay in this country and continue to develop. And that, should I be quiet, Carm? Because I put your hand up.
No, I just want to go next. No, listen.
Yeah.
But and that, if anything, is like, that's what happens. This is what the team wanted. They wanted to inspire the next generation, but they wanted to inspire this country to step up and say, let's stop looking around. Let's look at ourselves in the mirror and like, what can I do to play a role in making business sustainable, making sure that my daughters and my sons have more of these women every single day to look up to, and they can go to those games. And I think that's just the responsibility of everyone. Everyone watching this here plays a role. It's not just any particular person. It's every single person to make sure if we felt inspired by this, we do something about it.
Yeah. Carm?
I'm just going to weigh in here. I'm looking at the comments. I'm following.
Carm, do you want to swallow your food before you?
Sorry. No, it's been, you know what? I haven't talked. I love talking, right? So I'm like listening and I have to do something while I'm listening. It's just the way I am.
So stop eating so when you talk, you can talk.
That's so true. But anyways, moving on. So
the comments have been great. There's been a really good discussion in the chat. Yeah.
There has been an incredible discussion. And I want to just weigh in on the discussion. Okay, we're all part of this. The fans, you know, the key stakeholders, corporations, private people, you know, coaches, we're all part of this. We all want this to happen. And I'm looking at this and I see a comment from Gracos 1989. And it says, League One Ontario, in which I was the commissioner of that league, is growing the women's league, which is a good start. I want to say loud and clear on this particular platform right now, for all those who are listening, we don't want to start getting less or accepting less. The League One Ontario is a 3-month women's football league. It serves a very strong purpose for our landscape. It's for the NCAAers, the youth sports, the CCAA, some of those older players who haven't really made their stride. Yeah, it's great. But Canada needs more. We're not going to be where the FAWSL is right now in terms of that English league. We're not going to be where the Spanish league and the Italian league. We're not going to be there. We need to start somewhere. We need to give our women a chance to play beyond the age of 22. So we cannot settle for less. We got to get semi-pros, pro leagues going so that when you finish your career and you haven't been at the pinnacle like Jill is, sorry, I don't know how to say her name. I still haven't figured it out. And how do you say her name? Teach me.
Right.
Gilles.
It's Gilles. Is it French, isn't it?
Yeah, Gilles.
Yeah,
It's Gilles.
So a person like Gilles and a person like Jordan Listro and like all these players who have just been grinding, and it's been said, you know, they've been trying to find their own careers and stuff. It can be that hard because it builds resilience, and there's something about that when you just haven't given up. But let's give them a platform to continue to develop normally and that they continue to play in their own country and that they don't have to give up their entire entity to just continue playing football. We need to provide a football environment that has great conditions, and we're not going to be the top 10 team in the world year one.
Yeah,
we just need to start, and Canada needs to reserve their reservations and their judgments about what this is going to be and just start a league and support it and end it there. It's just for our women to continue playing their football career in a top environment. So all these discussions on who should have it, who should do it, how it should be, let the egos go, and let's just create a league that's inclusive and that lets people reach their full potential for this next generation, because we're all inspired. Well, but I don't like that idea where we have to start less or start, League One's a good start.
Yeah.
League One's a 3-month league.
I think one thing too, Carm, you kind of touched on it. And I feel like that was like the one thing in and around social media, or people that ask me here in America, yeah, but what's our return? Well, you need to invest and genuinely invest to see your return. So like, that's why I put on my social media, where are my billionaires at in Canada? Or message me, DM.
Or people who don't have money and just want to be a solid part of this. Like,
exactly. There was a bunch of fans that said, can we have a fan-owned team? And I'm like, let's do it. Because like, I just genuinely feel, you look at 2019, I bring this up every single time, the last 8 teams in that tournament, the only team in that last 8 teams that didn't have a domestic league was Canada. Can you imagine what Canada can do after winning gold and being one of the only domestic teams. Rhea, I see your finger up there. I'm going to jump down to you in a moment. But imagine if we did have a domestic league where we could keep players in our own backyard and develop them. Because you look at some of these players, like Jordan Huitema that goes to PSG. It's an amazing environment. Does she start? And we touched on this, I think, in episode 3. Like, do you go to a team where you play those 90 minutes? What an amazing opportunity to keep these own players in our backyard. Rhea, down to you, love.
I'm going to throw it to Dee. I think you had a comment.
Yeah, I feel like already like this team is catapulted to like, do we need a league? Like, I feel like it's now like it's jumped exponentially that the conversation's almost getting past that. Yeah, we need a league. And then like that specific question, do we do MLS or CPL? I think that's a question that frames it around the men's game. So we don't need to frame it that way. I think if we're talking about developing our own pro league, a Canadian league, or getting into the NWSL, I think those are two separate questions. And I think the answer is we can do both.
Yes.
Which comes first? I don't really care. But I think if you're talking about the actual development for the country, for 150 pro players, for coaches, for referees, for women in business, for the whole system, the league is the thing that impacts it. If you get one NWSL team, you're going to have 12 Canadians on that team probably. So it's not impacting the system. Like, it looks good. You're going to get fans. Maybe you'll get an academy in a few years, but you're not really affecting the landscape. So yes, we want that. It's going to be super exciting and shiny and awesome. And I hope it's in Toronto. But like, we need to build the league. And then to your point, like, I think there's investors out there. So let's get the right people to invest it. And Carmen and I happen to know the right people who want to build that league and who know how to do it well. So send them our way.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to pump the brakes on this conversation because now we're getting a little bit heated and this is supposed to be a gold medal moment. We're going to say, whoa, Dee, don't give me that attitude. We're going to save this for our exciting, very exciting, and we're going to save it for another Wine in the Tea with Carm K and Dee because we're going to dive even deeper into this situation and what
Hold on. Rian has something.
No, we're moving on. We're moving on. We are going to our most embarrassing Olympic moment. We're going to end this show with a little bit of a bang. We got like 5 minutes left because we are really running out of time here. So who would like to start? Raise your hand of the most embarrassing or a funny story that's happened to you in and around the Olympics. Because the number one question I always get, and I don't know why this is a thing, what happens in the Olympic Village, Kaylin? And I'm like, I don't know. We weren't in it in 2012. We literally traveled around. And when we were in it, I have my story. I'm going to save it. Carm, do you want to kick us off?
Well, you know what? It's a little bit of an interesting story. So it didn't happen this particular year because of COVID. So, you know, the closing ceremonies happened and we all sort of, I feel, followed the team to their closing ceremony journey. They wore the jean jackets like Karina, you know, that it looks fantastic and they're all bonding. It's the last, you know, big memory of the tournament. Our closing ceremonies were a little different. So we had Spice Girls perform, and there were quite a few other. I don't remember much for whatever reason. I blacked it out. I wasn't, you know, drinking or anything. I just totally blacked it out. Long story short, we were all stuck. Like, think about every athlete in the Olympics stuck in a stadium, and if you had to go to the bathroom, you couldn't. Like, you were stuck. There was like a way in, and 6-7 hours later, there was like a way out, and there were athletes around me, not me, swear, that actually peed their pants. No, you can't make it up.
Okay, the worst part, if you don't remember the 2012 closing ceremonies, we had the khaki pants.
The khaki pants. And I saw a few athletes that had to go, and it was crazy. They couldn't leave. If they tried, the amount of jackets around the waist was crazy. It was sad, but also exciting because the Spice Girls were performing.
They were amazing. Karina, what about you? Your most funny, embarrassing story from the Olympics?
I feel like I shared mine off the top. I mean, like,
you did.
Remember standing on the podium, not paying attention?
Oh,
that was a show. But I would say this. I think the one thing that, like, what you always dream of winning a medal, but like I remember going to bed that night and it was like, do you
You
go to bed with your medal
What's
on? Do you put it in the drawer like your first shower? Do you guys remember? Did you shower like? Because you remember everyone's.
I
in
think
the
I
village,
slept with
right?
it like this.
Exactly, and no one ever talks about this. Is like your first shower. What do you do? Because again, remember, it's like kind of like not real locks. And then when you first go to bed, do you sleep with it on or not? I just remember being like, what do I do? And you know, it's just a thought. But yeah, anyway, just throwing that out there.
What about you?
First of all, Carm, you could go to the bathroom because I did.
Carm just didn't ask.
Wow, that was a choice. It's even
It
worse.
was a choice to pee your pants, clearly.
That's way worse. Sorry, I didn't even know how bad it was.
She peed her pants for sure.
I didn't even know about that story.
I was like, I don't remember that.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Second of all,
Are you peeing in the Olympic?
Wasn't me.
I love all Karina's stories because there was like, what do you do? It's like that one, like, where do you go? Well, she told you exactly where to go. You just listen. And this part, what do you do? Do you shower with it on? No one else had that problem.
Well, what do you do? You just put yours down?
Yeah, we shared an apartment with our teammates.
Never crossed my mind if I should shower with it.
No, it never crossed my mind either if I should shower with my medal.
Never crossed my mind, Karina.
Listen,
Hey,
though, Carm, you're the one who's like,
watching,
get
think
out.
about this.
Had to make a decision.
Dee, what's
I
your
thought about it. I thought about it, Karina.
Thanks,
Dee,
Dee.
do you have an embarrassing story at the Olympics?
Hardcore.
I can tell my story.
Carm's pissed herself.
No,
And-
I didn't. Rian has a story to tell.
Ree, come on, tell us your story.
No, it's not embarrassing for me. It's embarrassing for Dee. As you can see, I'm throwing
Go on.
everyone under the bus. After
Was
she
it that
scored-
time? Was it that time I had a nightmare? Oh no, it's different.
Oh my gosh! I forgot about that. I got left in Singapore on the way to Beijing,
Yes,
and
this
everyone
happened.
was like protesting, like, we're not going to leave her here. Like, because I had one thing on my accreditation and my passport weren't the same. It turns out there were about 4 other people with the same thing and they just hit it. But
And we're like, we'll never leave you,
"You'll
Reed.
never leave me." Last call, everyone got the hell out of there. Everyone left me. And so I was 8 hours in Singapore on my own, just wandering around. And there was no, like, remember there was no phones back then? Like, I was left in Singapore. I still don't know how I got out of there. They took all the official Olympic pictures without me. I'm serious.
And then you got to our room, and they like there's
It
a
had
printout like with
Michael
COC
Wilkinson.
names, and it said
Yeah.
Michael Wilkinson on the
Michael
door.
Wilkinson. And then it was really late, and I got in, and obviously I woke Dee up, just sort of threw things down, and then straight to bed. And in the middle of the night, Dee screams and sprints across the room and like dives on me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, "The roof." And anyway, she's having a nightmare.
What is this?
It's okay. It's
Falling.
okay. Nothing's wrong. And then she went back to bed. So I had to go to the bathroom, and I came back.
Yeah,
and she was
I
asleep.
think Ree was like, "Oh no, you're fine. It's just a dream." And I was like, "Okay," and I just went back.
Okay, and then right back to bed. And then the next
What kind of
morning,
stuff are you going through?
I know. The next morning, I was like, "Are we gonna talk about last night?" She was like, "What?" I didn't sleep
remember.
that night. She scared me. But I was going to talk about the time where you scored the winning goal against France, and Kaylin did some sort of matrix to miss the ball. And I had this incredible idea that I would be the one that lifted you up, and you'd be in my arms, like, yeah, and it would, you know, I was like going to lift you, and you sack a potato over my head. But I made the front page, so it's my grinning face and your butt in all the pictures. But I really did mean to like lift you up for your crowning moment.
It was like the moment in Dirty Dancing, you know, when she runs and you're like, frozen, but we just couldn't do this part of it.
She was too
Dirty
heavy,
dancing, sack of potatoes.
super too heavy, but also she just flopped and then sink jumped like crotch over her head. So then I was carrying, and then Britt was sort of hanging onto your shorts. So I was sort of carrying the team for a little bit.
became laborious.
It was heavy, hurt my shoulder a bit. Then I went back.
Ree, that was normal. You always carrying the tea, or carrying the tea, like what I did there. Ree, what about you? What was your funny story or something embarrassing that happened to you?
Me?
Yeah.
That was basically 2 stories about me.
Okay, so that's your story? So which one should I do then? The time I almost missed the flight to the Olympics or I almost risked my flight home from the Olympics, because those are two
separate stories but similar.
Yeah.
stories, but
Common
very similar.
denominator, you, Kaylin.
So, okay, let's start with the first one. This is the first time I'm telling this story ever.
Oh, we're all like, oh.
So I got selected to the Olympic team and I was delighted. And my friends were like, let's go out and celebrate. I was like, no, I can't. I'm selected to the Olympic team. I can't do it. Like, if I come out, no drinking, I'll come out to 11. Champagne starts flowing. I'm like, okay, I'll just have one. It'll be fine. I got to go home and pack, load the bus. Don't know how many champagnes later. And I remember Sink and someone came barging in. I think it was Sink and Brittany Timko knocking on my door. And I was like, played it off as if like I had just slept in, hadn't packed anything. And I was like, oh my God.
I was your roommate. So, yep.
Yeah.
Why didn't you pack for her, Carm?
I did.
No, it was Dee shaking her head at me. Ree's like, this isn't a shock. Then on the way home from the Olympics, everyone.
Rian helped.
Yeah, Rian helped. Then on the way back from the Olympics, I remember not a whole lot after we won the medal. I remember going out with Buddy. We went out to like some whatever bar. Mary Eve Nolt, for people that don't know Buddy, she came home at a reasonable time because we had a flight the next day. I said, I'm going to stay out celebrating this. Woke up in the morning and it was like those apartments. So me and Janelle were on the bottom floor. She tried to wake me up, didn't wake up. And I remember I woke up and it was light. And I was like, ooh, it shouldn't be light now, because I knew I needed to be able to go at 4 a.m. I literally grabbed my stuff, threw it into my bag, sprinted out. And it was, I think the rowing team were like, the rugby team, field hockey, get on. We're going to the airport. We're on Air Canada, the flight after you. I said, perfect. Get on the thing. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, because we had like a bunch of different flights that day. My makeup's all over the place. And I remember going on boarding the flight and you guys were all on it. And the stewardess said, love, you're going to want to just like maybe clean your makeup off a bit, because I don't think you're ready for what is to come when you land. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, we're not like celebrities, whatever. And I remember landing in Toronto and I was like, it was like wild, like the people that were there and like the cameras and people, can I get your autograph? Meanwhile, I was like, why do you want my autograph? I don't know. It was just funny moment. Looking back on it now, I can laugh at it because I'm like, it's not shocking I would do something like that back in the day because I was a little shit, but it like made for a good experience because it was like my teammates had my back, like just get her on the flight, just roll her onto that flight. But anyway.
And we did.
You did.
Can I add something to that quick? Because when you talk about coming home, I remember I came home to Vancouver and it was with Sink, Soph, and M. And so it was the four of us. Flight attendants said the same thing to us when we landed. Like, you guys want to freshen up. We're like, you freshen up. But just turning the corner and we started to hear the national anthem, right? And we're like, what is this? And as soon as it opened, it was like, I remember seeing this older woman. She's like in her 80s or whatever, just standing there crying, right? And then it wasn't just young girls, it was men, women. And I remember even the camera guys, they were like shifted their head to see that moment. And the reason I bring that up is because that's what these women are going to come home to, those that get to come home, right? Oh. And it's going to be even better. And the way that Canadians have fallen in love with this team, Reed, and you talked about it earlier, and like everyone's talked about this connection. It's just that you coming out of this pandemic, like we've all, and Kay, you said, we've all wanted hope and we all wanted to be inspired. And this team can connect to everyone. And I'm so excited for that moment when they do come home to this country. Imagine what it was like in 2012 for us. But this is a team that's won gold. And I mean, we saw the statistics, almost over like 5 million Canadians watched this. And that's just TV households. That's not even digital. And what's incredible,
that wasn't even Americans though, Karina, in the States here, it was wild. I mean, when you have Abby Wambach tweeting about your national team, you have all the teams here in the NWSL watching the game. You look at Portland and all rooting for Canada. Like that's I think it was like 4.6 they recorded in Canada. But in North America, it was wild. Like everywhere I went, because I worked all weekend after that, in whatever job, whether it was MLS, USL, NWSL, everyone was like, congratulations, we're so happy for you. And it was like Americans. And I was like, Well, are you guys feeling okay? Like, you good? You good?
But like even now, I'm
You brought
here in
maple syrup
Canada.
to work. Like, I was like, what?
I'm not lying to you. Today I was just walking with my husband, and a couple of them came up. I'm like, what did we do wrong? And they were just like, can we pound it out? And they stopped and they just wanted to have the conversation, right? And like little girls, like it, this is what I'm saying. This team coming home, and Cam, I'm so sad and Carm that you're not here, because to be here in Canada has been so incredibly special, because people are stopping and they're like, that team, wow. And it's all ages, it's everything. And so my whole point in saying that story that you just brought up is that I'm so excited that these players in this team gets to, they're not all coming home, but they'll get to experience this in their own special way and see the impact that they've had in this country, and like you're saying, around the world.
All right, well, we've hit an hour.
Rian has something.
Rian, final words.
Final words, Lee.
And I need to wrap it up. I know we've gone too long, but I really have to say about this team that just won the gold medal for Canada. They've had an incredibly hard year and a half. And it is a team, I believe, that Canadians have connected to because it represents Canada. It is an incredibly diverse team. The Black Lives Matter movement happened throughout the pandemic. So pandemic, Black Lives Matter. They brought in a professor to help educate the staff in terms of making sure that the environment felt inclusive to everyone, so that it wasn't up to our Black players or minority players to help educate the staff. It was the other way around. And a huge shout out to Robin Gale, to Bev, to Mike Norris, to all those people who made that happen. We also had players who lost family members, real tragedies within that group, and how that team rallied together. And then the incredible Quinn, who was brave enough to live their true life in the open and receive a lot of hate as well as support, and that team standing up for them and being that strength and foundation, so that Quinn always felt like they could be themselves in the public eye. And again, the staff bringing in a speaker to help educate them on that matter. So I'm just saying that because this is a special team. They barely had any time together because we don't have a domestic league, which you talked about. They all play abroad. So the time they spent together was really important, and they invested in themselves, and they invested in things that were bigger than them as a team. And that is the result. And that is why I believe Canadians really connected with them, because they represent everyone. And that's my last word.
I feel like that's the end of the show.
That's it.
That like
absolutely
literally hurt my heart in the best way possible. Karina, I know that you've been working late hours and crazy all over the place. Thank you again for joining us again. It's always a pleasure having you on Wine and the Tea. Ree, I know you're probably just going to shut down for the next 2 weeks and just like, you know, go on your hikes and read your books. And I hope our paths cross sometime soon, because genuinely, you're not only an amazing human, you just make everyone better in and around you. So I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to play so many years with you. Dee, you know what I think of you. Carm, you know what I think of you. So everyone that's tuned in today, this is our biggest broadcast that we've ever had.
This is our longest show ever. Just keeps getting longer.
Our biggest broadcast. Again, the show is all about you guys and just kind of getting you guys a different look of, you know, the sights and sounds of players that have lived.
Maybe we should do a whole episode that's just a pro league Q&A.
Well, that's what we're gonna do. Dee, this is why you leave it to the host and the producer. Okay? The next one.
Leave it to me.
So thank you guys for tuning in to the gold medal edition from myself, Kaylin Kyle, Carmelina Moscato, Dinah Matheson, Rion Wilkinson, Karina LeBlanc. We love you. And that's it. It's midnight, and it's Carm. You're in the morning where you are.
I'm starting my day. Thank you so much.
I'm ending this. Love you guys.
You're well fueled from